Welcome to Excel with Mariana. And you might be wondering, Excel, 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 but where's all the information about Excel? I do not really see that much. Well, yeah, absolutely right. I started this channel with the intention of teaching Excel, not the nitty gritty down to the deepest deeps, how you automate thousands of processes, but rather with the very essential foundation in Excel. Because I've seen again and again and again and again that people are not utilizing the basics good enough, or rather, they're kind of unfamiliar with some of the basics, that some of the more advanced things really become difficult, complicated, and possibly repelling. Like, I had been in a scenario where there was more of a little bit of a more complicated task to do, and I thought, oh, how about we put a macro into the tool so that it's easier to work with it later on. And it turned out I had to delete the macro, I had to rework the entire tool, because we knew that if we would send a file with a macro which automatically asks people, do you want to run the macro, blah blah blah, that they're like, oh my god, am I going to crash the system? So, and that's a macro. That's a macro. And coming back to the thing, I really, really believe Excel is a beautiful tool, is a wonderful tool, and is a door opener to career progress. I've had lots of jobs, even though I've stayed with one company for 2 decades, but within that company, I've had lots of jobs. I've had many career transitions, and they all were for the better. And most of those were because I really knew how to work with data. And with that, I really knew how to work with Excel and how to translate and communicate the data and provide valuable insights, which otherwise we wouldn't have had. So Excel, together with communication skills, really, really, really gave me a very nice paycheck. Yet, I found that many people, especially many women and girls, they're a little bit like, Excel, oh, it's an ugly tool, it's a difficult tool, it's complicated, that they haven't had people showing them the beauty of the tool, and they haven't had people showing them the value of the tool, that it's not just a dull, boring tool, but really a fabulous tool to get more money, which you can spend or put aside for whatever you want to use it. So yes, Excel. I am passionate about Excel. You can read my book, Excel You Rock. You can listen to my very first video recordings about Excel. They're also in this channel. They're also on Spotify. And you can have training. I really, really considered recording videos on foundational Excel skills. As of now, I put that on hold. However, the workbooks I've created for the Excel trainings, they're all available. And I have a first Excel training out, and it's called the Excel Kickstarter. And with that, you really, really, really lay a very lovely, solid, yet flexible foundation for everything which you want to reach and acquire through Excel. And they're fun. They're really fun. I've included various cases, from an ice cream parlor to a karaoke singing competition to candy sales, lots of other things, really practical applications, but it's imagined data, so there's no data breach in that. But you learn how to write functions, you learn how to connect different sheets and really, really get the foundation, which I found 80% of the people do not have. But if you have those, it will be so much easier, it will be so much more fun, and especially if you're working with lots of data and visualizing that data, it will be so much easier. Really, I have seen data visualizations which kind of looked okay on the surface, but when I looked into the data source, please forbid that any number would ever need to be adjusted. It was a mess. I cannot even comprehend. I actually doubt that that data which was visualized was correct, because it really It was spaghetti loop by spaghetti loop by spaghetti loop. And just as a good coder usually describe what is the next section used for, what is done. They give it a title, they give an explanation so that not just the coder, him or herself, in a couple of days and a couple of weeks can recall what did I do, but also somebody else can do that. With Excel, that usually is never the case. Usually nobody says, I've changed this here because in order to, and sometimes it's just a spaghetti blob. So yes, longer story short, I love Excel. You kind of heard that, I imagine. Yet, I had no idea that Excel, in a way, would save my life because I've entered perimenopause without knowing I've entered perimenopause. And actually, I've entered perimenopause years ago, really years ago. And now that I've hit 45 last year, it was not just hitting 45, it was hitting wall after wall after wall and was really, really bad. And I could not find help. I could not find help. I've seen this doctor, I've seen that doctor, I've been to doctors, I've been to therapy, and I could not find help. And yet I noticed how my life was getting worse, 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 worse. And it was, if it would have continued on that spiral, there wouldn't have been anything left to get worse. And coincidentally, I noticed last year, oh, this happened the last 2 cycles. Did it happen before? I don't recall, but this symptom, like this really bad inflammation in my neck, which spread up to my brain and my entire face and skull, like a really bad migraine inflammation, and it was hot and feverish and my bones were aching. The first time I've had that, I thought I had caught a flu or corona or COVID or something like that. But then it happened again. And I thought, oh yeah, you're kind of weak at the moment, not in your best shape. So it's just normal that you're more inclined to get an infection. And then it happened again. And that was the 3rd time I actually paid attention to it. And I realized I'm getting these inflammations and these really bad migraines and these painful bones and muscles and joints during ovulation. It's cyclically. And I realized, oh, I had no idea because I never had any symptoms in my cycles, except maybe one day pre-menstruation, I was a bit more on edge. But other than that, I did not have any symptoms. No mood dysfunctions or anything. It was a smooth breeze, really smooth breeze. And suddenly it wasn't anymore. So I've started tracking my cycles and I've created a little tool for myself. And that tool, tracking and monitoring all my symptoms, and I realized there are really many more than just this migraine thing, the inflammation in my neck and the inflammation in my joints and bones. There's so much more. I can't sleep, I have weird digestion, mood disorder, don't even call it mood, it was so much. And after a while, I noticed patterns. And then, coincidentally, a friend of mine recommended a book on perimenopause and menopause, and I read the book and I thought, illumination. And now I've been able to connect it to all the symptoms which I've had. And with that, I've had an overview which really convinced my gynecologist to prescribe hormone therapy, because I had seen her and she said, yeah, maybe try this. And it was a herbal remedy and it didn't do anything. And my family doctor prescribed again something else and it didn't do anything. And so I kind of didn't trust them because I felt I had really, really severe issues and they're not helping. They're not taking this seriously. And so I didn't want to go back. But then I had this overview and I've had the proof that this is not just something I'm imagining. It is something which is happening, and it is happening cyclically. I can even predict when my next migraine is going to happen. I can predict when I'll be having the inflammation in the bull of my neck. I could predict and project those things. And with that, I really had proof and an argument for my gynecologist to prescribe hormone therapy. Because initially, when I'd seen her, she said, "No, you're too young. You still have cycles. You still have regular cycles. No, you do not have hormone deficiency." And so she did not prescribe these things. And just after private consultations with those symptoms and the proof, she gave in. And I'm so glad she gave in, because now I'm finally finding back to being me. I'm finding back to life. And I thought that was a really, really bad struggle. Gladly tracking and monitoring my symptoms and having the proof helped me get the help which I needed and which I deserved. And I was thinking, had I not had that tool, had I not been tracking, I wouldn't have gotten the help. And then I thought, this tool is so lovely. It's so easy. I just need to. I mean, my original tool was not so easy because I used it, but I thought this tool is so helpful. How about changing it, adapting it, creating an easy to use version for every woman out there, also the ones who do not really have anything to do with Excel? How about creating a tool that every woman can use for monitoring her cycles while she's transitioning through perimenopause? And so I've created this tool. It's lovely. It's lovely. There's nothing you need to do except tracking your symptoms. It's easy as that. And tracking your symptoms, you just click on them. There's a list of many, many, many symptoms and categories like sleep, nutrition, exercise, social engagement, social activities. There's supplements. There's so much in there, and there's even fields which you can customize. So in case a symptom you are experiencing and it's not listed in there, even though there's many symptoms listed in there, if it's not listed in there, you can add it. And then the tool automatically will also track and monitor that symptom. And you'll get ready-made overviews. Like, okay, now you have all the data, what to do with the data. I don't know how to analyze or visualize the data. You do not need to worry. It's all done. It's all done. And there's 2 analysis sheets. And I would say the first one is really a very good, solid overview. With that, you're ready to convince any doctor to really discuss what you're going through and which treatment might be most beneficial to you. And then there is a deluxe version of the tool. As it says deluxe, it has 2 additional analysis sheets, which you can also use, and they go much, much more into detail. And you can see if there are correlations between various symptoms. So that could be something to really better understand. If I do this, what happens to this? If I improve da da da. So it's really how it tickles down into every part of yourself, because it's not just, oh, I'm sleeping bad and the rest is wonderful. Usually I'm sleeping badly and it has an effect. However, if I do this, can that improve my sleep? So it's more interconnected. And that's why it's the deluxe version, that those features are included. So in the tool itself, you can and also in those analysis sheets, you can customize it to see what's relevant to you, but also that you can print out and take to your doctor and discuss it. Yeah, so there has been a transition from starting with Excel, going into perimenopause, and you see there's many, many videos on perimenopause, because I've researched, I've listened to podcasts, I've watched videos, I've read books, I've listened to audiobooks, I've read research studies. There's so much research which I did because I didn't get the answers and solutions from my doctors. I just didn't. Maybe they're not capable, maybe they're not wanting to, maybe they're simply restricted by the 7 minutes consultation time, which they're getting per quarter per patient, at least in Germany. Maybe there's lots and lots of reasons. Nevertheless, I don't care what the reasons are. I care that I didn't get the help I needed. And so I did the research. And everything I'm finding, I'm sharing on this channel. And that's why Excel with Mariana has transitioned or pivoted into more of a perimenopausal information sharing channel. Yet, Excel still is dear at heart. Excel will still be part of this channel every now and then. And if you want to use the training, use it. It's really good. It's really good. Also with AI happening at the moment. If you do not have this foundation, you might be just overwhelmed by the features which AI can do and provide to you in Excel. And that might even be more relevant, you might not identify when there's a flaw in the system, or you might not identify if the provided logic AI is offering actually doesn't really click to what you're wanting to achieve, to the problem you're trying to solve. So with that foundation, you will be set up to utilize AI in Excel much better, and with much more ease. And for some of the tasks, you won't even need AI, like Copilot or ChatGPT or Perplexity, because, because you know that there's even simpler solutions. So not everything AI can do needs to be done, because sometimes it's just not relevant. However, so the channel Excel with Mariana pivoted from pure focus on Excel to using Excel as we transition through perimenopause, menopause, and beyond. And so I'm keeping this channel Excel with Mariana because Excel, it's not just the tool, it's how we excel through perimenopause, it's how we excel to stay healthy, it's how we excel sharing our insights and our knowledge. And so I really wish that the algorithm in a couple of weeks, months, ideally will catch up, because right now nobody sees this channel. So please encourage you, if you find these videos interesting, if you found the Excel trainings interesting, if you've tried and utilized my perimenopause journey tracker, please share with your friends, share with your loved ones, whether it's your wife, your sister, your mom, possibly even your teenage daughter, because you can use the tracker not just to monitor perimenopausal or menopausal symptoms, you can also use it for PMS, as she's learning how to transition into the new cycle, which will accompany her for many decades, hopefully. So please share with your friends, please share with your loved ones, and I'm excited for this journey. I wish that you will join me on this journey, and I wish you lots of fun and curiosity and pleasure and insights and relief and aha moments as you binge watch all of these movies or videos, if it's on Excel or if it's on perimenopause. And I'm looking forward to see you in the next video.